But then there is a broad-based government that is in place right now. Raila Odinga, who is a man you know quite well, said that the president went to him to save him. Today he said that part of that saving was done together or in conjunction with former President Uhuru Kenyatta. What are your thoughts around this broad-based government and the defense of it by those in it?
You see, this is not a script that is unusual. If you look at any of these episodes anywhere in the world where there's been an uprising of the people, the first thing a government in power does is to make a unity government, try and bring all the political leaders into one ship. Now, we had predicted some of this, but we had predicted it before the uprising. That before an uprising, because of things like debt default, William Ruto will want everybody to be in his sinking ship so that the masses do not have an alternative voice. He's just invited people into a sinking ship. We were already united, and we are united in pain, economic pain. I haven't heard anyone, including himself, anyone, talk about how they are solving our economic pain. Hakuna. Hakuna. So please, we are still united in that economic pain, right? They can do what they want up there. But I can assure you, they are in a sinking ship and Kenyans will not join them. Kenyans will not join them. They'll sink themselves. Someone
who has joined them is Raila Odinga, a man who is your ally. Can we safely call him that?
He is my friend and ally. He's my friend and ally.
Right.
And has he really joined them? Has he joined them? Has he joined them? Every time I'm hearing him, he's saying we have no handshake, there's no coalition with ODM. I don't know. Does he have one?
Said, no.
Does he have one foot in, one foot out?
You tell us. He's your friend.
His minority leader. His minority leader, that's the opposition. Then he has somebody in government. Has he got both feet? Why is he got both feet everywhere? Why? Has he really joined them?
Have you asked him?
Or is he making sure that he can jump out whenever he wants? I would not be so clear that he has joined them.
Okay, but you're saying you don't agree with this broad-based government?
Not at all.
Which is one that your friend and ally has walked into and is on record, by the way, as saying that, he came to the rescue of this president. He's on the record as saying that, he donated some of his best minds. And no less a big chunk of his party leadership. So what do you think of a move like that you don't agree with by your friend and ally?
Maybe he has not understood the gravity of the problem and how deep this ship has sunk. Let's wait and see how long they last when they are there, because they may jump out just before it completely sinks. I would not be as confident as some people like William Ruto are, that now he's united the country there. How are they solving our problem? Every time you hear a news item, it is about money. Complaints about money.
Have you talked to your friend and ally, Raila Odinga, about this?
Not about this. Not at all about this.
Is that why you didn't speak to him when he came by your house?
No. I didn't speak to him because it was not safe, according to my family, for me to show my head. That's all. My family were very insistent. They said they would rather themselves be brutalized. My wife was pulled from the sofa set by a woman police officer and beaten. So apart from the fact that she was saying, don't shoot, she was beaten. All right? And they said, we are going to take this. If you come out, they are going to kill you.
And this is by an administration that your friend and ally is now a part of working with. He says he's not in, but we've seen what we've seen. So what are your thoughts around his move and around the newcomers in cabinet?
Well, my thoughts are very simply this, that first and foremost, as I said, he seems to have one foot here and one foot there. All right? He came to identify with my family in their plight. And we have talked about it after that. He was horrified by what he saw, by his so-called partner, William Ruto. There was anyone to fear, forget William Ruto. The fear is, what are those forces that have taken trillions from us and are still are? Who are those forces? Those are the ones you should be saying I should be fearing. Because it's a criminal mafia beyond your imagination that has made sure we are an enslaved nation and will be for many years to come unless we solve this problem now.
And what is this problem now?
I'll tell you. It is fraught in unconstitutionality. For clarity, we have what you call 4 pockets of debt. You have that international debt, and there you have got what you call London Club, which is the notorious Eurobonds and syndicated loans. You have got the bilateral debts. This is where you have IMF and all this. A lot of that, by the way, is anchored in the budget. You have Chinese debt, right? And a lot of the Chinese debt is anchored in the budget. I have one issue with SGR. Okay? Then you have domestic debt, these bonds and bills that are never anchored in the budget. They're never anchored in any revenue estimates. They're never anchored anywhere. Now, because of that, this is a very simple matter. The good thing is our Constitution created financial controls.
Is that these creditors knew in advance
absolutely
that this money was not going to be used for what it was meant for.
Absolutely.
And therefore, based on your argument, then you're saying that this was done in collusion?
You see, I would like to...
So I just want to understand here, Jimi Wanjigi, you're saying IMF, China, others like the World Bank are in collusion with the Kenyan government towards giving them debt that they know they cannot repay. Is that what you're saying here today?
What I'm saying is that they must be in collusion, especially those organizations. Because if they read our laws, they would be asking questions about the syndicated loans. They'll be asking questions before they loan us about the Eurobonds that came from their countries.
So even all of the conditions, the preconditions that IMF puts in terms of making sure that the funds are used for development and for their intended purpose.
They would be asking questions about
you don't
our
think
domestic
they're
debt.
asking questions about that?
No, I don't believe they are.
Doing now on their 7th review?
Why are they giving us money?
Okay.
Even them, even
so then
this
what
money,
are you saying? They're in collusion with this administration?
Even this so-called, yes, absolutely. Even
so
this
IMF,
7th review.
World Bank, China?
No, I don't know about China. I can talk about SGR with China.
Okay. So who do you have a problem with respect to the debt that we've had?
I'll tell you. 2 pockets. What is called London Club, which houses the Eurobonds and the syndicated loans, and our domestic debt, which is now 5.4 trillion. All right? It is not anchored anywhere in law.
And the IMF and the World Bank?
The IMF, because they continually support a regime that has perpetuated economic impunity and economic genocide on the people of Kenya. They, by now, we've been speaking for how long? I am sure, in fact, I can tell you, I know they have listened to what I've been saying. They have analyzed it, and they know this government has broken the law. For some strange reason, they are still insisting on showing up a government that has shown impunity on Kenyans. First and foremost, forget about that fear-mongering. International community, this or that. Sijui nani, this or that. I'm sorry. No matter what they do, we can live within our means. We don't need them. So why do they want us on a chain? Why do they want us on a chain? If we legitimately owe IMF, and it is in the budget, we'll ask those that we paid illegitimately to return it. To return it. Because as I told you, we have paid almost 10 trillion to this debt. That is still at 11 trillion, never coming down, just growing. So let's not live in fear as a nation. Let us not live in fear. I don't live in fear. Right? They say when you fear nothing, right? Then what? Those Gen Zs that went to parliament, what did they fear? A bullet? And after the bullet, they still went into the chamber. They succeeded. And it's very sad that they were killed. Over 200 have been killed. We mourn them. They are heroes. Let us not live in fear. What consequences? We can live within our means. We don't need their money. My issue, fundamentally, is what we do with those local bonds that you're talking about, because it's odious. What do we do with these banks that have helped create a criminality? And we will hold them to account for that criminality. This is a reality. And I can tell you, Yvonne, if we don't do this, if we do not cut this chain, because it is the current modern chain of our slavery. Before they had these chains when they took us and sold us as slaves. That chain today is dead. If we don't cut it, anybody talking to anything else is lying to you, because we can't even reschedule it. We can't even package it all and find softer terms that we can pay it over 200 years. It is a monster. It is going to chain us. It is finishing us. And I'll tell you what it creates. It creates what you're seeing in this country: inflation and recession. They're two evils. Two evils at the same time. So William Ruto says, I've brought down the cost of things. So he's brought down inflation. Easiest thing to do. Just remove money supply. Make sure banks' interest rates rise. Make sure cash ratios from banks are risen. So there's no money. So goods look for a price. But what do? You accelerate the already recession that is there. So now recession is, we are not growing. We have no money in our pockets. We are collapsing. If you do the other, you raise inflation. And the only solution when you have that is to reduce taxation. William Ruto was seeking to raise taxation because his taxes are going to debt. So no matter what the scenario, unless we remove that chain, and that is the chain that was being called as the chain of 2A in the second liberation, right? It is the chain of colonialism in the first liberation. Our current chain, and Kenyans should understand it, is this debt. It is all around our bodies. And unless we cut it and throw it in the dustbin and look forward to a future, there is no light. So this government, so-called of coalition government or whatever, is going there and saying we are not going to pay debt that is not in the Constitution and cut it off. Everything else is just talk. It's just good language, but it will go nowhere. Nowhere. They have to remove the chain. And William Ruto can't. That's why I say he must go.
And you can?
Like yesterday. I'll do it the first day in office. The first day in office, I'll cut it off.
So if we do Article 1, and based on this formula of interpreting it that you have refused to share, would you want to be the leader of this country?
Absolutely. I believe I can solve the problem of Kenyans. I believe I have it in my heart and in my mind because I love this country. And I believe I have the courage.
So you'd run again in 2027?
Absolutely. If we get there, I think we may have an election before then. And I pray we have an election before then. It is my prayer. That people see that even when you are president, you can be brought down by the people. You're accountable to the people. William Ruto got in with a ballot. He is currently ruling with a gun and a bullet. How? How do you rule with a bullet? How do you kill these young Kenyans on the streets? How do you come to my house with those same bullets? You got in with a ballot. You're not Museveni, who got in with a gun and can rule by the gun. You must rule with a ballot. And I can tell you he's going to see before 2027, his time is up. And God willing, God being in front of us, this will be not only peaceful, but will empower the people of this country